I'm so glad to have everyone here with us. And I just want to recognize a few people who have joined us. And I know this is always a dangerous thing to do, is to recognize people in our audience. But we just want to thank everyone for joining us today. We are going to have our county executive, Mark Elridge, is joining us. We have Karen Hendricks from our Senator Van Hollen's office. We have a number of people from Congressman Raskin's office, including Joseph Young, Kathleen Connor, and Maria Hamed, and Ada Mejia. Are all here. The Raskin office showing up big. We have the City of Rockville. Mayor Ashton will be joining us today. Mayor Searcy from the City of Tacoma Park. The Vice President Ed Reed from the town of Poolesville. I also want to take the moment to recognize our incredible directors here in Montgomery County who we have working for our county government. In HHS, our Health and Human Services, we have Director Bridges, Dr. Davis, and Dr. Ashford, amazing team at HHS. Our Director of Human Resources, Tracy Anderson, is with us today. We have Battalion Chief D. Howard Richards, and our Planning Board Chair, Artie Harris. I could go on and introduce every single person in this room, but we will get to honoring a number of other people and being able to honor all of you over lunch today. But I just wanted to say thank you for each and every one of you for coming out today. As we gather here today to commemorate Black History Month, we reflect on this year's theme, African Americans and labor. And so today we recognize the enduring legacy and the impact of African Americans in the workplace, the labor movement, and the ongoing fight for workers' rights and economic justice. African American history is American history. The United States exists because of the labor of Black people who built this nation's economic foundation through the brutal system of enslavement and continue to sustain its growth after emancipation, while all the while enduring systemic oppression and fighting for injustice. The Black labor movement has long stood at the intersection of workers' rights and civil rights, embodying the dual struggle for economic justice and racial equality. Their work laid the groundwork for the labor protections many of us benefit from today. We are incredibly fortunate to have the bold and visionary leadership of organizations like UFCW, Local 1994, McGeo, the American Association of University Professors, Montgomery College Chapter, and the Service Employees International Union, SEIU 500, who have been and continue to be at the forefront of building a more equitable and just Montgomery County. Now is not the time to sit by idly, but to draw inspiration from the courageous spirit of the Black community and labor organizations who have fought for workers' rights, a struggle that is the responsibility of every one of us to continue. We must remain vigilant as we are witnessing firsthand the fragility of democracy, underscored by all the developments coming from the federal government. In Montgomery County, we remain steadfast in our commitment to fairness, justice, and equal treatment under the law. And during Black History Month, and throughout the entire year, we express our gratitude to African Americans for their immeasurable contributions to these goals. Next, we're going to hear from our Council Vice President, Will Jawando, followed by Councilmember Lori Ann Sales. And then after that, we will watch a video produced by Jordan Lindsay and Joe Thompson from our Emmy Award-winning communications team. Council Vice President Jawando.
Thank you, Council President Stewart. Good morning, everyone. All right, there we go. That was okay. It's truly an honor to be with you today as we've come again to celebrate Black History Month. And yes, we are going to celebrate Black History Month in Montgomery County now and in the future. No matter what's going on anywhere else, we're going to reflect and honor and recommit ourselves to the work that we know still lies ahead. I'm proud to be here in Montgomery County. As was mentioned, this theme this year is African Americans and labor. We're going to see some great labor leaders here in a moment. It reminds us of a very fundamental truth, that Black history is American history, and that the history of the labor movement and labor for Black people, both forced and freely given, is a labor that literally built this nation. It shaped its economy and continues to define its progress. From the plantations where enslaved Africans toiled in the mid-19th century here in Montgomery County, that was 40% of our population, to now the Black-owned businesses that continue to innovate and trailblaze, to the labor unions that stood on the front lines and stand on the front lines to struggle for workers' rights. Our story has always been one of resilience, of perseverance, and of transformation. Here in Montgomery County, that work continues. Every day, workers, Black workers, educators, healthcare providers, transit operators, public servants, entrepreneurs are making this community stronger, more just, and more equitable. That doesn't happen by accident. It's because of the leaders, several of whom you'll learn about today, who refuse to accept anything less than dignity and respect for working people. So I want to take a moment to recognize and thank some of those leaders today. Pia Morrison, president of SEIU Local 500. Thank you for fighting. Yes, you heard. Carl Smith, vice president of the AAUP Montgomery College chapter, who's also one of our nominees in the back. And although she couldn't be here because she's out fighting, Lisa Blackwell Brown, the secretary treasurer of UFCW Local 1994 McGeo. Let's give her a round of applause as well. And all of her team that are here on our behalf. Your work and the work of so many not here today, those who have passed on, those who are in the field right now, is a reminder that progress is not given, it is won. It is hard fought through blood, sweat, and tears. And if history has taught us anything, when we stand together, when we organize, when we refuse to accept injustice, we move this country closer to the promise of equality, opportunity, and fairness for all people here. So with that, happy Black History Month, and I'm proud to turn it over to my sister and colleague, Councilmember Lori Ann Sayles.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President and Madam President, and thank you everyone for showing up for Black History Month, our luncheon and proclamation. So, thank you for joining us at the council, AKA my Black job, to celebrate our Black History Month proclamation and luncheon. This year's theme, African Americans in Labor, highlights the significant role that work, both voluntary and involuntary, has played in the experiences of Black lives throughout history. Enslaved Black people built this country and continue to play a critical role in industries that rely on our relentless hard work and ingenuity. After the week we've had, let us just take a moment to reflect on how far we've come. Despite past atrocities, we press forward toward a more just and equitable future and workforce. Celebrating Black History Month with pride is crucial as we confront rhetoric that seeks to undermine Black American sacrifices and contributions. We face a deliberate effort to erase history and initiatives for diversity, equity, and inclusion, face aggressive attacks from the administration that sparked their implementation in boardrooms worldwide. Despite these challenges, Black Americans continue demonstrating extraordinary resilience and strength, inspiring us all with their unwavering determination and remarkable progress. Their resilience is a beacon of hope in our journey towards a more just and equitable future. Today also marks Rosa Parks' birthday, a poignant reminder of her courageous defiance against injustice. While commuting home from work as a seamstress, Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat to a white passenger, igniting a movement that changed the course of history. Her legacy continues to inspire my work today. Despite these Jim Crow-esque laws that threaten to unravel our progress, We must honor the generations before us and reinforce the undeniable value of Black sacrifices in shaping a better nation. As many of you know, I'm the first Black woman and the first person of Jamaican heritage elected countywide, but I vow not to be the last. I stand here proudly as the daughter of Jamaican immigrants who devoted their lives to public service, instilling in me an unwavering commitment to our community. I am a living testament that despite barriers to progress, hard work and determination are the tools I use to dismantle any obstacles. Since my election, I have focused primarily on breaking down barriers. This year, I partnered with Councilmember Jawando to introduce a bill that the council unanimously passed, extending the sunset date for the county's minority-owned business purchasing program by 5 years until 2029. This program has already generated a substantial $30 million increase in businesses across various sectors in FY23 compared to FY22. Despite systemic barriers, this achievement signifies significant progress toward achieving past injustices and makes us optimistic about the future. It's a clear sign that our efforts are not in vain and we are moving in the right direction. As you enjoy your lunch today from My Cup Runneth Over, a Black-owned business, I want you to reflect on the fact that we are 159 years past the abolition of slavery and 60 years beyond the legal end of segregation. Despite this progress, systemic barriers such as the racial wealth gap, unequal pay, discriminatory lending practices, redlining, and unequal access to quality education persist. Additionally, there is a continued lack of representation in leadership positions and a systemic undervaluation of Black homes, neighborhoods, public amenities, and labor. Despite this narrative, we celebrate the historic elections of local leaders like former County Executive Leggett, former Council Member Valerie Irvin, Governor Wes Moore, Attorney General Anthony Brown, and U.S. Senator Angela Alsobrooks. These leaders and many others have positioned Maryland as a blueprint for electing Black politicians. In conclusion, as we reflect on our journey, our advocacy and contributions across the nation have laid a strong foundation for the future. Black Americans have exemplified resilience and excellence, making significant strides in scientific, cultural, and civil rights arenas. Despite our achievements, Black individuals cannot ensure full dignity and equity in our labor alone. We understand the difficulties we face and are committed to overcoming them. Your collaboration and dedication by your presence here today to foster diversity, equity, and inclusion are paramount. Together, we will make this Black history and every one thereafter more significant and a memorable occasion here in Montgomery County. Thank you.
Thank you so much to my colleagues, and I do need to extend apologies to Division Chief D. Howard Richards, that I got her title wrong, and I thank the Chair of Public Safety to make sure that we appropriately acknowledge her. I also want to thank, among the unions who are here today, MCEA for joining us as well. And now we have a terrific video for you all to watch.
Each February, we reflect on the central role that Black Americans have played in helping to shape this nation and our community. Part of the wider campaign for civil rights, Black Americans are an essential part of the labor movement. The 2025 Black History Month national theme, African Americans in Labor, aims to highlight and celebrate the powerful impact that Black Americans have had throughout history, now, and well into the future. Throughout U.S. labor history, Black workers have played a key role not only in forming some unions, but helping to secure improved pay, benefits, and working conditions, even amid ongoing discrimination. The primary goal of Black American labor leaders historically has been to achieve equal treatment and opportunity for Black workers within the labor force. Just like representation within the American labor movement mattered for Blacks throughout history, it also matters today and is very evident in some labor unions located right here in Montgomery County.
All the locals in the UFCW bring representatives, they bring delegates, and we go to this huge thing.
UFCW Local 1994, based in Gaithersburg, fights to give employees across the DMV a real voice on the job.
The history of UFCW Local 1994, we go by MCGO, which is Municipal and County Government Employees Organization. MCGO was founded in 1993. The only president we've ever known, President Gino Wren, he and a group of individuals, including my father, David Blackwell, Sr., decided that Montgomery County employees should have a voice at the table when it came to wages and benefits and working conditions. In Montgomery County, we represent about 6,000, but we also represent employees in Prince George's County, Anne Arundel County, and Allegheny County. We represent all types of classifications. We basically represent everyone that supports all the services in this community in Montgomery County, which is why them having a voice at the table is so very important, because we uplift and support the community on a daily basis.
Secretary-Treasurer Lisa Blackwell Brown says although they help to protect a variety of workers, Black representation at UFCW Local 1994 has always been important.
I've known MCGO my whole life. My dad was one of the first people at ABS that started to organize the employees there, telling them that they needed to have a voice at the table. And being a Black employee in Montgomery County at that time, my dad felt the brunt and the burden of all the things that were not necessarily positive. Him fighting for that and fighting for collective bargaining and fighting for being that voice for the underserved in the workforce was something that he was just passionate about, and that passion has just carried on in me, through me. I can't imagine working anywhere else and doing anything else.
There's no North or South America. They, 450, they didn't know about that.
And serving as the voice of the profession in higher education, there's the American Association of University Professors. AAUP's Montgomery College chapter helps assist faculty in a collective bargaining relationship with the institution's administration.
How many of you are thinking about becoming political science majors?
History and political science professor Carl Smith teaches at the Tacoma Park Silver Spring campus and also serves as the vice president of AAUP.
AAUP has been around since 1915. And it came about because it seemed to be there were some issues regarding academic freedom. Here in Montgomery College, we've been a member of AAUP since the 1980s.
He says that the organization stands for academic freedom while also recognizing the importance of inclusivity.
The AAUP has done a pretty good job of trying to make sure that all faculty, including African Americans, are represented in the leadership and also in the membership. The more we all embrace diversity and inclusion, I think is also a strength for the country.
Service Employees International Union 500, or SEIU, is based in Gaithersburg. This labor union is comprised of teachers, paraprofessionals, part-time faculty, and workers.
Good morning, Jessica. How are you?
Good morning. President of SEIU, Pia Morrison, says they are 20,000 strong and growing.
Montgomery County Public Schools is the largest school district in Maryland. We represent the almost 10,000 support staff professionals there. We also represent the part-time professors at Montgomery College. I can go on and on. It's a very long list.
By representing so many people, Pia says their future goals include continuing to stand united, advocating for justice and fairness.
Black representation in labor is so important because I believe racial justice and worker justice and economic justice are all concepts and principles that are inextricably linked. When Black people get involved in labor and when we represent Black people, We also represent everyone, and at the end of the day, everyone benefits, because we know that when we empower workers of all colors, we know that society at large is better.
With all the major contributions Black Americans have made throughout the labor movement, we take a moment to acknowledge how far we've come and set the bar even higher for the next generations.
Great. Thank you so much, Jordan and Joe, for all your work and the video participants. Thank you, Lisa Blackwell-Brown from McGeo, Carl Smith from the Montgomery College professor from AAUP, and Pia Morrison from SEIU 500. Now we will read the proclamation for Black History Month. I will start us off. Whereas February is National Black History Month, which recognizes and honors contributions that African Americans have made to this country, as well as the events and history of the African diaspora, and
whereas on January 1st, 1863, President Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation, setting the United States of America on a path to end slavery, and 1 century later, in 1963, more than 200,000 Americans gathered for the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom, calling for African American civil and economic rights. And
whereas Black History Month had its beginnings in the United States in 1926, when Black educator and historian Carter G. Woodson moved to officially recognize the achievements and contributions of African Americans to our nation's history and identity. And
whereas enslaved Africans were brought to this country and endured brutal and inhumane conditions, and those who survived from generations of people became educators, doctors, scientists, world changers, and much more. And
whereas Maryland is home to African American heroes like Frederick Douglass, Josiah Henson, Harriet Tubman, and Thurgood Marshall, who paved the way for the young activists of today who continue to fight for racial equity, freedom, and social justice. And
whereas Black Americans have contributed significantly to the growth and development of our nation and Montgomery County through distinguished leadership in every field of human endeavor. And
whereas this year's National Black History Month theme is African Americans and Labor, highlighting how African Americans have impacted the U.S. labor movement in the past, present, and future. And
whereas Black American workers have consistently shown resilience, activism, and leadership in the face of systemic racism, fighting for dignity and justice in the workplace, including through historic strikes, sit-ins, and advocacy for the end of discriminatory labor practices. And
whereas African Americans have served and continue to serve in vital and often underappreciated roles, including as frontline workers in healthcare, education, transportation, and other essential services providing stability and support to communities across the nation. And
whereas the pursuit of educational and professional development has been a vital component in empowering Black Americans to thrive in the labor market, and we recognize the ongoing efforts to expand access to quality training, apprenticeships, and educational programs for workers of all backgrounds. And
whereas this month we celebrate all the major contributions African Americans have made throughout the labor movement and acknowledge how far we've come as a country thanks to their efforts, setting the bar even higher for generations to come.
Now, therefore, be it resolved that the County Council of Montgomery County, Maryland, hereby declares and proclaims February as Black History Month on this day, February 4th, 2025, signed by myself, the Council President, Council Vice President Will Juando, and Council Member Lori Ann Sales. We'd like to now ask everyone to come to the front, particularly the folks who we celebrated today in the video, Miss Morrison, Professor Smith, as well as I think Raymond Lee is here from McGeo, since Lisa Blackwell Brown could not join us today. But let's all take a picture and then we'll go upstairs to the 4th floor and enjoy lunch together.